All right, let's talk about business taxes. For a lot of people, it's a huge source of stress, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to walk you through a really simple step-by-step system to get it all done right. The goal? To make this whole process feel way, way more manageable. I mean, let's be honest. For so many business owners, dealing with tax lodgements, that's just the official term for sending your forms to the tax office, it feels complicated, it's overwhelming, and it can be a total nightmare. But you know what? It really doesn't have to be. The secret is just having a clear system to follow. And this is that system. Think of this as our roadmap for the next few minutes. We're going to break down this entire process into 3 simple, totally manageable stages. First, knowing your obligations. Second, getting your data right. And finally, submitting everything with total confidence. Okay, let's dive in. First stop, and honestly, this is the one that keeps everything else on track. You have to know exactly what you need to lodge. And this is critical, when you need to lodge it by. So the first big question you have to answer is this. Are you lodging a business activity statement, a BAS, or an installment activity statement, an IAS? It's pretty straightforward. If your business is registered for GST, think of a cafe selling coffee and pastries, you'll be lodging a BAS. If you're not registered for GST, like a lot of freelance designers, then you'll use an IAS instead. Now these dates, think of them as the absolute non-negotiable rhythm of your financial year. These quarterly due dates for your BAS and your employee super payments are hard deadlines. If you miss them, you can get hit with automatic penalties from the tax office. So get them in your calendar, or even better, let your accounting software do the heavy lifting and track them for you. So you know what you need to lodge and when. Awesome. Now let's get into how to actually prepare it all. And everything starts with the foundation of a good tax return: clean, accurate data. So how do you make sure your data is perfect? It really just boils down to these 3 powerful habits. First, you've got to systematically gather all your evidence. Second, you need to master the GST classifications for every single transaction. And third, make reconciliation, matching your books to your bank statement, a regular habit, not some big scary thing you do once a year. And let's just zoom in on that classification step for a second, because getting these codes right is so important. It directly impacts your bottom line. I mean, if you tag an expense with GST, you get a credit back. Simple. But if you accidentally tag it as GST-free, well, you miss out on that credit, and that costs you real money. It works the other way with sales, too. Get it wrong, and you could end up paying tax you didn't even need to. All right, you know your deadlines, your data is squeaky clean. Let's get to the finish line. This is the final stretch, where all of that careful prep work you did finally comes together for the submission. Think of this 4-step path as your final checklist. First, you generate the draft reports right in your software. Then, and this is your absolute safety net, you have it reviewed by an authorized professional. Then you act on their feedback, make any final adjustments, and only then do you finalize and submit it. And it's so true, isn't it? Even if you are incredibly careful, you're just too close to it all. A professional review gives you that essential outside perspective. They're the ones who will catch those little errors that are so easy to miss, and they make sure you stay fully compliant. Okay, we have walked the entire path from start to finish. So before we wrap this up, let's just arm you with one last tool: a quick guide to sidestepping the most common traps that catch so many business owners out. This right here, this is where things often go wrong. Simple data entry errors can snowball into huge headaches. Misunderstanding GST, like we just talked about, can literally cost you money. And having incomplete documents or not reconciling regularly, that just means you're building your whole tax return on a really shaky foundation. Just think of this as your what not to do checklist before you hit submit. And that pretty much brings us to the end. We've covered the what, the when, and the how of business tax lodgements. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Looking at this whole process we've just laid out, what's the one step, just one, that you can simplify or automate right now to make your next tax deadline just a little bit easier?